We've all got our tea.
Now, the internet connection is unstable, apparently.
Oh, from me?
Probably just my emotional stability.
Mood.
Definitely not.
And cue music.
My sister in song.
Hello, Ashleigh Dallas, and welcome to the Sister in Song Sessions.
I'm just a little bit excited to be involved, so thanks for having me.
Now, you're third generation recording artist in your family, Ash. Did you always want to be a songwriter?
I did always want to be a songwriter and a musician. If I think back on my earliest memories, it's always involved music and wanting to be or performing. So I think it's really nice, but I think it's also come with its own challenges because I put a lot of pressure on myself then, having so much heritage and, you know, footsteps that I felt like I wanted to follow, but also wanted to make my own mark on. That came with its own challenges and hurdles as I've continued to develop.
So what's your experience of being a female country music artist?
Look, overall, it's been pretty positive, I will admit. It's been a very welcoming community that we've got here in Australia, which is beautiful. And I think to always have my family support has been a massive plus for me. I think the hardest part of being a female and in the music industry is when you're finding your voice. And I think as women, we often get in our heads a lot more. We look at all the ifs, buts, the maybes, and overthinking. And I think I've been probably my worst critic and my worst helper in along the way. Whereas if I look at the support of other fellow females in the industry, overall that's pretty positive. And not just females, within the whole branch, you know, everybody's been very welcoming. I think it's been myself with that, putting that pressure on to be a strong, independent person when sometimes you just need to accept help and accept that olive branch out from people as well. And it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't make it any less of an achievement. You know, I've worked alongside so many wonderful people in this industry who took a chance on a young, at the time, 17-year-old, and that's helped me along my way, you know, taught me so many lessons. And to have that opportunity and so young as well, it's such a good thing for our industry to do.
Now, aside from Lyn Bowtell, because let's be real, we all want to be Lyn Bowtell. When you were starting out,
except Lyn Bowtell.
When you were starting out, who was the artist you most wanted to be, Ash?
Oh, okay. Well, you've stolen my answer now of Lyn Bowtell.
I'll pay you later.
Look, I think really back early on, I was so fortunate. My granddad Rex had a property which he held concerts on and kind of his own festival days, especially in amongst the Tamworth Festival. And we had the beautiful, you know, Felicity Urquhart out there. I remember Fliss, she's probably one of my earliest memories of meeting another female in the industry. So many beautiful people out at my pop's place as well. Pete Dennehy. Wow, and Pete Dennehy really sparked for me that I could be a musician and a storyteller. That I just feel so grateful and lucky that was at the back of my pop's place that I was meeting these people. Outside of Australian country music, I remember discovering Alison Krauss as a young teen, and that cemented so much of that, because I saw someone that I could be like, a lady, a musician, an incredible musician in the fact of Union Station holding her own, but also her melody. And she made me really want to, I remember going to Dad saying, Dad, I can write songs, and if I keep playing my instruments, I could have like call and response between the lyric to the music. And I just remember being so excited by her music.
And how old were you there, you reckon?
I reckon I was about 11 when I first got an Alison Krauss CD handed to me, which was from my granddad on my mum's side, Da. He was a massive Alison Krauss fan, and he would often send me CDs with his handwritten note on a piece of white tape. He'd write on the tape so it didn't wreck anything. and he would tell me what tracks he thought I would like to listen to and what tracks he thought I should be learning. And then I'd play them with Dad. We'd just sit. I remember most of my weekends were spent sitting next to a Dad's CD player, pressing play and stop and learning parts. So that's my memories of trying to learn to be like these artists.
So if you could go back in time and talk to that 11-year-old, what advice would you give her? What would you say? What would you say to her?
I would say to her, ease up on yourself a lot earlier on in life than you know what I mean? And it's okay to make mistakes. And that's not just in life, but also with your music. I think learning that you're not a failure if you've made a mistake. In fact, it's a lesson. And generally that can turn into something that you know better for next time, or you know more about who you are. I've always was an overthinker. Even as a kid, I was always like, in amongst my school friends, if we're going to do something that was maybe on the side of rebellion, I was the one going, there's this. And that's been throughout, all of my music as well. So I think if I could tell my 11-year-old self something, it would be to ease up on yourself. You're going to fall and have mistakes, but flip the coin. It's a brilliant lesson to make you who you are.
Now, we know that music is obviously a central part of who you are, Ash, but what is it about music that's so important to you?
I guess it's the feeling, it's that thing of if I have a bad day and I can sit and listen to someone's music that makes me feel something, I instantly feel like it's emotion, it's connecting to people. And I just love the power of a song can, be like a partner throughout an experience for you. It can be like the friend that you are missing at the time. It can be the celebration that you want as well. So I just think there's so much beauty in that. It sparks emotion. And that's been the biggest thing that I've always been drawn with music. And it's been my thing as a songwriter, the key to what I think success is that if it can connect to somebody and you can get an email from, a 15-year-old to an 80-year-old person who's connected to your song, I think that's the biggest part, and that's the biggest draw card for me with music. And I know for me, it's been there through the highs, the lows. And as I said, if I have a bad day in this household, I put on my favorite playlist and I boogie around the house and I instantly feel lighter. And that's the art of music.
That was a good answer, Ashleigh Dallas. I'm going to give you a 10 out of 10 for that.
Oh, God.
10 out of 10. It's my first ever 10 out of 10.
Here we go. That's the question for the day. There we are. That was a good one. So tell me, Ash, who would you consider your sisters in song?
I feel so fortunate to have sisters in song in this industry. I'm speaking to two of them right now on the screen, especially with you, Lyn, working with you during the academy has just, it's been an amazing thing to cement that beautiful bond. And Logue's being a fellow Tamworthian, and I feel really proud every time you release something. So I think we're so fortunate here in Australia that we can, and I think that this needs to be such a stronger positive movement of women speaking up other women. And I look at our Aussie industry and I feel like we're all connected, even if we're not always talking to one another all the time. I think there's such a beautiful power of us supporting one another. And it's just whenever you're at a festival out backstage, you can always trust the fellow Aussie girls on the lineup for anything, whether it be a second guessing of your set list. I know I've often ran over to beautiful Amber going like, or if it's something like your hair's not sitting right, it's such a beautiful friendship that we've got here. And I think it's that beautiful thing as well, that it's the perfect sentiment of friends that don't always get to see each other, but it feels the exact same when you lift off from that moment. So I think we're pretty proud here. Speaking of friends who don't get to see each other very often, we are probably about, 5 minutes away from each other right now, Ash, and we have to do this over Zoom because of lockdown and all that fun stuff. Now, COVID's
obviously made life a little difficult. But what are the positive things that you've taken away from the last 2 years?
Time to breathe, I think, is really good, and time to just sit and be still and notice that it's okay for change. And I think, as artists, we always are planning and we're always on that momentum train of, oh, I've got to make the record because we've got a tour. And then after that tour, I've got to think about the record. So to have time to just stop and be, it's been really beautiful. And I know for me, creatively, I personally feel like because I'm not worrying as much about ticking all of the schedule boxes, I'm actually creating again from a sense of not thinking about any of the outside world and just being in that moment of creating. And then I look at the songs I'm writing and I'm going, ooh, they excite me. Like, I'm really excited. So I think the best thing out of COVID for me is once I got over the initial anxiety of it all, and obviously very different on the sense of performing, as you girls know, just being at home with my family has allowed me time to keep delving into the next chapter of what I want to keep presenting out to as an artist, and that excites me a lot.
Have you been listening to any new music? Like you were talking about Alison Krauss. Are there any female artists that you would say to the people out there, you gotta get onto this person?
I'm obsessed, and I know she's been in this in the industry for a while, but every time I hear in particular a song from the American scene that I connect to, Laurie McKenna is involved. And I just go deep down the wormholes of Laurie McKenna constantly. Brandy Clark, I think, is amazing as well. And they're constantly on my playlist at the minute, which, I feel sorry for my neighbours because with COVID, I have been out in the garden a lot more.
So you've been blasting
the only way I work well in the garden is with music to push me along.
I'm feeling you.
So they're getting a real education on the songs from those two in particular.
Yeah, question time is over.
Yes.
But now we require a verse and a chorus of something.
I'm going to sing the first single I've released from the new album that's coming, Good and Bad Days, because I think it's safe to say we're all having good and bad days currently. You see my sunshine and rain, feel my distant thunder. You see the smile on my face, the roads I wander. Sometimes when life's a little gray, the way to pull me under. There you are either way, loving me good and my bad. Yeah. Oh, when they're good, it all falls into place. I tick off my to-do list at a steady pace. Life is great, nothing beats what I got. But when it's bad, I need to take the day. I write it off. You see my sunshine and rain, feel my distant thunder. You see the smile on my face, and the roads I wander. Sometimes when life's a little gray, the way to pull me under. But there you are either way, loving me good. There you are either way, loving me on my good and my bad days. Ooh, yeah. Loving me good and my bad days.
Yay! Thanks, Ashleigh Dallas. We love
Thank you. Cheers to tea.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
See you now. Have a great day.
I will. You too. Bye.
Bye.